The air inside the Riverbend Police Headquarters felt stale the afternoon Marcus Reed walked through its glass front doors. Outside, late July heat sat on the Tennessee town like a wet blanket, coaxing tempers toward a slow boil. Inside, fluorescent lights hummed above scuffed linoleum floors. No one had bothered to wax since budget season. Marcus crossed the lobby in a charcoal suit that fit his 6-foot frame like it had been sewn in secret just for this day. His shoulders were squared, his beard trimmed close, his tie a muted burgundy that refused to shout. He carried no badge on his belt, no stripes on his sleeve, only a slim leather folio tucked beneath one arm, and the stillness of someone who already knew the room belonged to him. At reception, Officer Trent Boswell glanced up, then away, uncertain whether to greet or question. But the person who did reacted hard was Sergeant Emily Schaefer, standing 3 steps from the break room door, half a styrofoam cup of coffee in hand. Emily had 23 years on the force, 10 of them supervising patrol shifts. Promotions came less from skill than from longevity, and the golf course friendships she nurtured with a handful of city council members. She was the sort of cop who began every diversity workshop by rolling her eyes and ended every shift by telling rookies that some folks just don't get law and order. Now she narrowed blue eyes at the tall black man who dared stroll past her domain with no visible credentials. "Sir," she barked, loud enough for every civilian seated in the waiting area to freeze mid-inquiry. "This section isn't open to the public. If you're here for a report, have a seat, and someone will handle you when we're good and ready." Marcus stopped but did not turn. He let the moment breathe for 2 heartbeats, giving every soul within earshot the chance to wonder who would blink first. Then he pivoted slowly, meeting Emily's glare with an expression that suggested neither hostility nor deference-only measured curiosity, as though he were reading the department like a case file. "I'm not here for a report," he said, voice low, resonant and steady. Emily took a swaggered step forward. "Ride-along application? Lost wallet? Whatever it is, appointments go through admin." Her lips twitched into a smirk. "You don't just wander inside." "I'm aware," Marcus replied. He reached into the folio and removed a cream envelope embossed with the city seal. "My name is Marcus Donnell Reed." He let the weight of the consonants settle. "Riverbend's new chief of police." Laughter evaporated, replaced by the kind of silence that swallows clocks. Boswell practically shrank behind his desk. 2 detectives on the mezzanine rail exchanged wide-eyed glances. "Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your thoughts in the comments box." Emily blinked, not so much stunned as unwilling to process the reversal. Then her features hardened. "They put you in charge?" The inflection on "you" sprayed across the lobby, like broken glass race, gender, authority, all sliced into a single syllable. Marcus observed her unblinking. "You may want to adjust your tone, Sergeant. I've already memorized the badge numbers of every officer present." Color surged into Emily's cheeks. Whatever happened next erupted from someplace older than policy and deeper than bruised ego. She stepped in, leaned close enough for the smell of roast coffee to mingle with the faint citrus of Marcus's cologne, and spat a wet, deliberate glob that struck his left cheekbone and slid downward with hideous patience. Gasps burst from throats around the lobby. Someone dropped a clipboard. Boswell muttered a strangled Jesus that never finished becoming a word. Marcus did not flinch. He removed a monogrammed handkerchief, wiped once, then folded the fabric precisely and slipped it into his jacket pocket as though he'd merely dusted off pollen. "You just assaulted the highest-ranking officer in this city," he said, every syllable crisp, "and the entire town will know before you can finish your coffee." At the corridor's far end, Deputy Chief Sarah Mendoza appeared, summoned by the invisible tremor that follows disaster. Sarah had served as interim head these past 6 months. She'd heard rumors of old guard resistance, but never pictured it spitting itself into existence. One glance at the tableau Marcus's glistening cheek, Emily's flushed jaw, the frozen lobby end she understood. "Sergeant Schaefer," she said, voice knife, cold, badge and sidearm. "Now." Emily's head jerked towards Sarah as if betrayed. "You can't be serious." "I have never been more serious." A hush roared through the room. Detectives who ordinarily would defend a veteran stared at their shoes. Emily's coffee cup trembled, but the veins in her neck refused to yield. "So we're just going to let politics destroy a good cop's career?" She spat this time, figuratively. "There's video," Sarah said, nodding toward the camera globe above the reception desk. "There are witnesses, and there is absolutely no version of Riverbend PD where an assault on its chief is acceptable." Emily's nostrils flared. For a heartbeat, everyone wondered if she might double down, pull some stunt that would end in a restraining order or a taser. Instead, she unclipped her badge with shaking hands, slapped it on the counter, and followed with her service pistol, the metal landing like a gavel. "Administrative leave, pending investigation," Sarah added. Emily shoved through the exit, the lobby door's hydraulics hissing as though the building itself exhaled in relief. No one spoke. The phone rang 5 damn times before Boswell remembered how to answer. Marcus turned to Sarah. "Deputy Chief, could you show me to the conference room? We have work to do." She nodded, and the two walked the corridor, leaving rumors to bloom like night flowers behind them. The first tweet hit cyberspace 19 minutes later. "White Sergeant spits on black man, turns out he's the new chief." Riverbend PD. By the end of Jessica Simmons' lunch break, her shaky cell video clip topped 60,000 views. By 5 p.m., national accounts were dissecting frame-by-frame footage ripped from the station's own security feed, leaked anonymously to a local blogger who'd been quietly fighting Riverbend PD's secrecy for a decade. Cable news hosts inhaled the narrative before dinner, exhaling it across prime-time panels. The equation was irresistible. Racist humiliation, public service, power reversal, poetic justice. Inside headquarters, Marcus declined every interview request. He spent the evening poring over misconduct files in the records room, a windowless bunker where dust-coated metal cabinets like ash. Sarah kept watch at the door, equal parts gatekeeper and silent ally. "What's the plan?" she asked when midnight threatened to fold them both in half. "Truth," Marcus said, sliding another manila file across the table. "All of it." Emily Schaefer spent that night in her ranch house on Briarwood Lane with curtains drawn and television volume muted. Her phone buzzed until the battery whimpered. Reporters camped outside. Her teenage daughter texted from a friend's. "Mom, you okay?" Emily typed and erased 6 responses before throwing the phone across the couch. The silence afterward was louder than any ringtone. The next morning, Riverbend PD's briefing room swelled beyond capacity. Reporters filled every chair. Latecomers stood, phones aloft, live streaming. Officers lined the walls, expressions split between curiosity and dread. Councilwoman Elise Carver occupied a corner seat, nails tapping her clipboard like a lie detector drum. Marcus entered alone, set no notes on the podium, and regarded the crowd the way a physician studies an X-ray. 10 full seconds passed before he spoke. "You've seen the video," he began. "You know what Sergeant Schaefer did, and you know how I responded. But if you think yesterday was about 2 people and 1 disgusting act, you've missed the point." Cameras clicked like insect wings. "This department has protected misconduct with silence. That ends today. We will reopen every complaint closed without investigation in the last 7 years. Bodycam footage will be logged within 2 hours of contact. Any officer who tampers with evidence will be referred to the district attorney." He paused. "If these expectations make you uneasy, the door behind you doesn't stick." A flicker rippled through the uniforms, but no one moved. Outside, the feed went viral. Memes sprouted, opinion pieces germinated. In barbershops and diners from Memphis to Atlanta, people argued, was Marcus Reed a reformer or a wrecker? Could a single man dismantle a culture calcified by decades? Resistance arrived before sunset. An anonymous Facebook page, Real Riverbend Blue, posted a photo of Emily Schaefer in dress uniform beside community service kids at a county fair, captioned, "Decorated vet canceled by woke politics. Who's next?" Likes mounted by the hundreds. Comments dripped with bile. At 9:47 p.m., Marcus found a note shoved under his office door. "We run this house. Pack up. No signature. Only a crude drawing of a coffin." Sarah wanted to call in threats to state police, but Marcus shook his head. "Bullies pound harder when they think you're listening through the wall," he said. Better to open the door and show them we're still standing. The following Monday, Riverbend City Council convened a special oversight hearing that smelled suspiciously like an ambush. Chief Reed arrived, flanked not by lawyers but by two community leaders, Reverend Charles Epps and business owner Nadine Osei, both invited to speak on policing inequity. Councilman Tommy Sykes, a longtime benefactor of the old, garbled the interrogation. Chief Reed, since your arrival, we've seen an uptick in resignations and what residents are calling chaos. Do you consider your leadership style combustible? Marcus folded his hands. If kerosene sits around long enough, a spark is inevitable. I didn't bring the fuel, Councilman. Reverend Epps suppressed a grin. Reporters scribbled furiously. Nadine Osei testified next, recounting how her cafe had been raided last year on a bogus anonymous tip. She'd filed a complaint. It vanished. You're worried about resignations? She asked the council. Some of us resigned from trusting the police a long time ago. When testimony concluded, Sykes moved to recommend a mayoral review of Reed's suitability. Councilwoman Carver, however, requested the floor. She had obtained, she said, several internal emails showing senior officers strategizing to undermine the new chief. She read one aloud. Make him look incompetent, drag our feet until public turns. The chamber erupted. Marcus said nothing, letting their own words ignite the room. The review motion died without a second. 2 days later, a memory card arrived in a padded envelope at Marcus's home address. No return label. Inside, dashcam footage from 3 years prior. The video showed Emily Schaefer and her partner stopping a Latina college student for what the report later claimed was erratic driving. The girl's hands never left the wheel. Still, Schaefer cuffed her, shoved her face first against the hood, then mocked her accent while searching the car. Internal Affairs had marked the file corrupted. Marcus paced his kitchen, jaw tight. He copied the footage to 3 encrypted drives, then phoned Sarah. It's bigger than I thought. She exhaled. Still want the job? He glanced at the envelope. More than ever. That Friday, Emily's attorney filed suit against the city of Riverbend, alleging wrongful termination, defamation, and emotional distress. Local talk radio frothed with callers who painted Marcus as a radical outsider dismantling good Southern tradition. National pundits debated reverse racism. Late-night comedians monologued. Inside the department, lines crystallized. Younger officers, a mix of every background, gravitated toward Reed's open-door office. Old-timers huddled in corners, trading rumors of federal oversight and pension jeopardy. Someone began plastering, "Remember, Emily," stickers on lockers and squad car dashboards. But something else happened too. Civilian ride-along requests tripled. Neighborhood watch meetings invited uniformed liaisons for the first time in years. A group of high schoolers began designing murals of Riverbend Hero panel reserved for Marcus Reed, though he hadn't learned of it yet. 10 days before autumn, the Tennessee State Review Board announced formal hearings into Sergeant Schaefer's conduct and into historical patterns of disciplinary neglect at Riverbend PD. Emily arrived, flanked by union reps, expecting at best a wrist slap and at worst a suspension. She did not expect the witness list. First came Officer Janelle Wright, a white rookie who'd quit after 5 months. She testified that Sergeant Schaefer's shift ritual involved throwing darts at a printout of the city's most wanted list, awarding bonus points for minority suspects. Next came Adam Pike, an EMT who'd observed Schaefer refuse to remove cuffs from a seizing suspect because, as she said, he'll fake it to run. Finally, the board called Deputy Chief Sarah Mendoza. She produced the dashcam video of the college student and the original complaint, mysteriously unsigned. The moment the clip hit the screen, Schaefer shoving, mocking, laughing something inside the courtroom shifted, as though gravity itself realigned. Emily's lawyer stumbled through objections, but momentum was gone. The board voted unanimously to recommend criminal charges for assault and civil rights violations. Outside, microphones awaited Marcus. He kept his statement brief. Justice isn't personal, it's procedural. Today, that procedure held. Yet the story refused to end neatly. An anonymous caller tipped Channel 7 that a small group within Riverbend PD had been meeting off-site, plotting to leak staged body cam footage showing Marcus berating a white subordinate, hoping to spark backlash. Marcus convened an emergency staff assembly in the roll call rumor cramp space with plastic chairs and acoustics like a tin can. Nearly the entire force showed. He stood alone, hands behind his back. "Some of you," he said, scanning faces, "believe the fastest way to preserve the old normal is to break the new one. Record your traps, spin your rumors. None of it changes the facts. We are in surgery, cutting out infection. Surgery hurts." He paused. "But it saves lives." Silence throbbed. Then Officer Malik Baines, barely 2 years out of the academy, raised a hand. "Chief, what if the infection's deeper than we even know?" Marcus nodded. "Then we cut deeper." That blunt honesty did what memos and task forces never could. It pierced the fear. Conversations began awkward, raw, but real. White veterans admitted to turning blind eyes. Black and Latino officers shared stories of subtle sabotage. Policies followed, but the culture shift preceded them like dawn preceding sun. Winter crept in. Snow dusted Riverbend's magnolia trees, icing their leaves in improbable silver. On December 14th, the department gathered for its first all-hands holiday banquet in years. Decorations were modest budget, had gone to body cam upgrades, but the room buzzed with a cautious warmth. Marcus stepped to the mic only once. "We are not finished," he said. "But look around you. Tonight is proof that courage is contagious." Sarah raised a glass, others followed. Even the officers who once grumbled about Chief Outsider clinked plastic cups and found themselves half smiling. Outside, the night air bit with promise. Months later, a knock on Marcus's office door interrupted his review of quarterly use of force stats. Reverend Epps entered, holding a small box. "Found this in our church archives," he said. "Thought you'd know what to do with it." Inside lay a faded Polaroid. 2 black policemen standing arm in arm beside a 1970 Plymouth Cruiser, badges shining like hope. On the back, a scribble. "We'll make it better, J, R, and E, L." Marcus traced the ink with his thumb. His father and uncle had served in Memphis back when signing complaints against white officers meant forfeiting your locker. They'd never made captain, let alone chief. He set the photo on a shelf, facing the door, a silent greeting to anyone who entered. Later that evening, after the building emptied and janitors hummed hymns down the hall, Marcus drafted a memo to the department. "This badge weighs less on the chest when your conscience carries it too. Keep the weight honest." He hit send, turned off the monitor, and stepped onto the balcony overlooking Riverbend's modest skyline. The Tennessee River shimmered under sodium streetlights like a snake shedding old skin. Change, he thought, wasn't a bolt from the blue. It was 1,000 small, relentless momentum, loud as a spit hitting skin, others quiet as a picture on a shellfall pointing to the same stubborn truth. Power doesn't earn respect. Integrity does. And somewhere, in a living room where the news still replayed his story, a child watched and wondered if one voice could shift an entire room. Marcus Reed hoped they'd decide. The answer was yes.